Every year, more than 2,000 cyclists are seriously injured on UK roads, and over 100 people die as a result of their injuries. Many of these tragic accidents could be avoided by following road safety guidelines. You may be a visitor from overseas and have never cycled in this country before, or perhaps you are a UK student or someone who has not cycled regularly for a few years. Whatever your reasons for cycling now, this DVD will provide you with some basic reminders that could save your life. Before you cycle anywhere, try to carry out a quick safety check on your bike. Check the front and back brakes are working correctly. Check the tyres are in good condition and pumped up. If cycling at night, check that your lights are working. By law, you should have a white front light, a rear red light and a rear reflector. You should also have amber reflectors on the pedals. Never use MP3 players, radios or mobile phones. Never cycle if you have drunk alcohol or if you are feeling tired or unwell. Never smoke. Wear appropriate clothes. No wide trousers that can get caught in the chain. No flip-flops or loose sandals. Always wear a helmet. Many deaths and life-changing injuries are caused by head injuries. At night or in poor visibility, a light-reflecting jacket and a set of lights can save your life. Without them, you are almost invisible to car drivers.
About 3 years ago, my daughter wanted some cornflakes for breakfast and we ran out, so I cycled to the nearby shops, which were about a couple of 100 yards away. They're very, very close, and got the cornflakes in a plastic bag and cycled home. And just as I approached the house, I braked and the front brake jammed. So I went over the top and landed on my elbow, which I knew was broken straight away from the horrible sound, and then my head hit the road as well, and that was bleeding badly. No, I wasn't wearing a helmet. I mean, I did wear a helmet if I was going on a longer cycle ride, but this was just along the road, so I didn't bother with it. I was one of those situations where I thought I was going to die. I really did. In that moment, I just thought, that's it, I'm dead. And I managed to get my arm up in time, and that took such a force that if it had been my face, I wouldn't be here. They put in a metal plate along here and lots of screws, and you can see those in the X-ray, and you can feel them actually. You can feel if you put your finger there. It's a bit like Frankenstein. You can sort of feel a whole lot of metal. I just didn't maintain my bike properly, so the front brakes it was a very old bike, and just jammed onto the wheel. So it just stopped absolutely dead.
I'd usually just check my tyres are inflated, check my brakes work, and check everything's set up, the lights are on there and they're going to stay on, not going to fall off or anything.
Just last week I actually saw one accident where the cyclist was knocked out by the car, and it actually happened on the roundabout. So I'm really strong on advising you to be really, really extra careful on the roundabouts.
If you are an international visitor, one of the most important things to remember is that in the UK, we drive and cycle on the left, and you may find this makes cycling at roundabouts and turning right at junctions more difficult than at home. Take extra care at these times. Take a week or so to get used to this before you cycle on major roads.
The key advice that I would give any international student is to allow yourself some time to adjust to the basically left side road rules, because it might be difficult at the beginning, but don't be afraid because you'll get used to very quickly. But just be extra careful in this time. Yeah, and the other piece of advice is make yourself visible. by any way. Wear light colors, like clothes. Don't wear like black from bottom to the top, and use all the safety equipment like D-locks. And all the lights at night. Lights at night are very important. Don't cycle without them.
I took my lights off my bike because it was raining in the morning. I was afraid that they wouldn't work. I was cycling down the hill towards a junction where there's a right slip lane. And as I was cycling down, I saw the car, and I felt it was light enough to see the make of the car, and it was a Vauxhall Astra. I could see the colour, and I thought, you know, he's slowing down, he must have seen me. And then all of a sudden I was coming across a junction, he just came straight across me. So I caught his left indicator, I hit that, rolled across the bonnet, put my shoulder through the windscreen and flipped over the back of the car into oncoming traffic on the other side of the road. The night it happened was, you know, a real shock for me. It scared me because of thinking about the long-term implications of the crash, what it could do to me. You know, is it going to affect my physical participation for the rest of my life or not? That was the question, and that's when it started to really hit home. But for about three and a half weeks I was on crutches. Couldn't actually put my foot flat on the ground because of the swelling. It just completely contracted the muscle. You know, even if you're setting off when it's still light, put your lights on just in case. You never know when it's gonna, I didn't know when it was gonna get dark. Do you know nowadays? It could even be foggy. Put your lights on your bike, then you'll be sorted.
Check your brakes, tyres, lights. Never cycle if you have drunk alcohol or feel unwell. Never use MP3 players, radios and phones, or smoke cigarettes while cycling. Never wear wide trousers or flip-flops or loose sandals. Always wear a helmet and reflective clothes or light-coloured clothes. Always use lights at night and in poor weather conditions.
But I really enjoy it. I like the exercise, and it kind of wakes you up a bit for the day as well, so it's good.
In this section, we cover some of the road markings, signs and signals you will come across, and look at turning right and left. Cycle lanes are areas of the road clearly marked for cyclists to use, and we recommend you always use them if possible, but you should make sure that you use them in the correct way. Only cycle in the same direction as the flow of traffic, never against it, unless a contraflow lane is clearly signed. Cycle in single file, never with someone beside you. Don't stop in a cycle lane. It may block the lane and force other cyclists to go around you. Always look behind you before leaving a cycle lane and indicate clearly with a hand signal. Cycle lanes are great, but remember that they are often shared with other traffic, such as buses and taxis. Cars are also allowed to move into a cycle lane where a road is narrow, unless the cycle lane is marked by a solid line. Be alert. Keep looking around you for other vehicles moving in or out of cycle lanes, especially buses. Bus drivers often can't see you. Cycle a reasonable distance behind a bus so you can see his mirrors. Never attempt to pass a bus near the curb. Let the bus go first, even if it means waiting a few moments. Where cycle lanes are marked with colour, often green or red, it usually indicates a junction and shows you the route you should take. Some footpaths are shared between cyclists and pedestrians. Stay on your side of the path and look out for pedestrians. They don't always stay on their side.
Whenever you have a chance, go to the library and get yourself a cycle route map. It's very handy.
When I'm cycling, I sometimes wear a helmet. I should wear that more often, but I haven't done that yet, but I'm getting better every day.
We called her Kay. It was not her Korean name, but it was one she'd chosen. Many students do. She was from Korea. I think she was in her very early 20s. She was terribly bright. I got to know her quite well because she did a lot of writing that she showed me in order to help her improve English quickly. She wanted to get into university here. Kay cycled. She never wore a helmet, and on this evening she had no lights on her bicycle. And I'm sorry to say that she was cycling in a very undisciplined way, and I don't think she'd ever read the highway code. And she came into collision with a bus. I don't know what else to say except it was horrible, and it must have been even worse for the bus driver. I went to visit Kay in hospital. I knew she was brain dead, but her body was being kept in good condition, warm and ventilated, by the hospital who were waiting for her relatives to come and say goodbye to her. It was a horrible thing. Just to be taken home in a casket instead of going home on an aeroplane. I think students should realise that in this country, cyclists are on the same level as lorries and buses and cars. They have to protect themselves by riding strictly according to the rules that exist for traffic, and they should read the highway code. Put lights on their bicycles, that's so important, and wear a helmet. I think that's the main thing. Protect yourself.
All road signs apply to cyclists as well as other road users. If you see a stop sign at a junction or on road markings, you must obey the instruction to stop and look before continuing to cycle when the light changes or the road is clear. This rule applies even if you are in a cycle lane. If you see a sign like this, it means you cannot enter that road unless a cycle lane is marked. No entry applies to bikes as well as cars. If you see a sign like this, one way, you must only cycle in the direction of the arrow.
I like to follow the rules of the road as much as I can, and it's always safer to stop at a red light.
Traffic lights are there to prevent serious accidents. If a traffic light is red, you must stop at the junction. By crossing over a junction when the lights are red, you create a very high risk of injury to yourself and others. No movement is allowed until the light changes. At busy junctions, there will also be pedestrian and cycle crossings. Use the crossings where possible, but get off your bike and walk across. Don't cycle on the pavement. Zebra crossings are marked by black and white stripes on the road and often with a flashing amber light. All vehicles, including bikes, must stop when a pedestrian has moved onto a zebra crossing. If you see a zebra crossing coming up, slow down and keep looking for pedestrians about to cross. Be ready to stop. A school crossing is manned by a patroller holding a lollipop. The lollipop has the same authority as a red light. You must stop if the patrol is on the road. Failure to do so may result in police prosecution. Remember, young children may be crossing. You must be ready to stop.
Yes, I do enjoy cycling. It keeps me fit and saves me petrol.
My accident happened when I was on a push bike. I was cycling to work back on the 7th of July 1995. I didn't always wear a helmet back in those days, but I wore a cycle helmet that morning. I don't know why, but I put one on, and at 5:28 down in Castle Lane, down near the junction with the Broadway, I had a parcel force van coming towards me in the opposite direction that turned right in front of me. I didn't see the van, and it just happened in a split second. Hit the side of the van, the A post of the van, broke my mandible as I hit the van, and then bounced off and landed on the pavement and banged my head, wearing a helmet on the pavement. My feet didn't unclip from my racing bike pedals, and the saddle from the bike got stuck in my throat basically, so I was choking as well. Wearing the helmet literally did save my life at the time. The effects really from the accident were obviously memory loss, short-term memory loss, anger problems. I had to have 12 months off work. I wasn't able to get back to work because of I suffered fatigue as well, was another major side effect of it. You just cannot foresee some accidents. It just happens that quick. There's nothing you can do about it, and it happens that quick. You're off.
Turning right across traffic lanes can be difficult. You should try and obtain a position at the front of stationary traffic, and if there is an advanced stop, marked in coloured tarmac for cyclists, ensure that you use it. It makes you obvious to the traffic behind you and coming towards you. Always look behind you, then use a hand signal so that everyone knows where you are going. When you need to turn left at a junction, don't stay on the inside of a queue of traffic. A car can turn left into you. Make sure you clearly hand signal your intention to turn left. Never cycle too close to the curb. Cars will see you more clearly and give you more space if you stay away from the curb. Some large junctions are just too busy for cyclists to attempt safely. Use the crossings or underpasses provided. Never cycle on the pavement unless it's a marked path.
It's just a great means of getting about town.
Cycle lanes. Use them correctly. Cycle in single file. Don't stop in a cycle lane. Always look behind you before leaving a cycle lane. Cycle a reasonable distance behind a bus. Drivers often can't see you. Road signs. Obey all signs such as stop, no entry, and one way. Traffic lights. Red means stop. Crossings at junctions. Use them. Zebra and school crossings. Stop, let people cross. Lollipop means stop. Road position. Turning right, get to the front, look behind and use hand signals. Turning left, don't get on the inside of a queue. Drivers often can't see you, especially buses and large vehicles. Stay away from curbs. Cars will give you more space. Big junctions. Avoid them. Walk your bike over